the harem genre. It's home to some of the wackiest anime in existence. We've got ridiculous power fantasies, over-the-top love triangles, wild family dramas, and a dozen other unhinged tropes. And while the female characters steal a lot of the spotlight, no harem anime can exist without an entertaining protagonist. And in this video, I'm going to tell you guys about 10 great harem kings who are so damn cool that you won't be able to take your eyes off of them. We're starting off this list with Ryu Yamada from Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. Now, anyone who's seen this show will agree that Yamada is a really funny dude. In a plot where he has to kiss other high school girls, his pervy humor and fluid personality really shine. And considering how many characters there are in this anime, it's really impressive just how big an impact our protagonist has on the show. Yeah, he doesn't really go through a whole lot of character development, but in the constraints of his rather chaotic story, he manages to hook us instantly. That's why he deserves a spot amongst these legendary harem kings. Next up, we have Yuasuke Futaro, who is quite simply the nerdiest MC on this list. As some of you may know, he is the main love interest for not one or two, but 5 sisters in this highly popular anime quintessential quintuplets. And while the anime is considered a masterpiece in the harem genre, Futaro is often listed among the worst harem MCs, which in my humble opinion is absolute bullshit. I mean, how can you knock down the only MC here who can remotely be considered relatable? You see, unlike many other harem protagonists, Futaro doesn't have some OP abilities or insane romantic charm. He's just your run-of-the-mill high schooler who's just trying to help out his family. There's this humanity in his character, which makes him so much more appealing, not just to our girls, but also to the viewers. It also allows him to help these girls grow in ways they never thought were even possible. Moving on, we have Yuji Kazami at number 8 on our list. The badass protagonist from the Grisea series was a marvel of character writing. When he first appears in the all-girls academy, you pigeonhole him as a military meathead who doesn't express many emotions. And yet in only a couple of episodes, it becomes obvious that your assumptions were painfully wrong. In every one of his interactions with a girl at the academy, we get to see a different layer of his personality. He can be considerate, funny, helpful, and emotionally vulnerable without losing his badass nature. So yeah, I do think this is one of the coolest harem kings in the world of anime. We have Misumi Makoto from Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, which happens to be one of the most underrated anime of all time. And while I can go on forever about what makes this anime so great, I believe our protagonist Misumi is probably the biggest reason you need to go and watch this anime right now. The way his character develops over the course of 12 episodes is simply amazing. He starts off as a goofy kid who has a lot of insecurities about his looks, and after getting thrown into the deep end of a new and dangerous world, he uses optimistic thinking to not only survive, but thrive as well. He soon manages to create a utopia for all sorts of beings, not to mention a big harem of all kinds of beautiful girls who are ready to die for him. And since he's been bullied all his life, he tries his best to stay kind and fair, even when he doesn't have to be. And yet, he isn't just an all-forgiving saint. If you hurt anyone in his giant family, he won't even be kind enough to give you a quick death. Truly a fascinating individual. Coming up at number 6 is Keimar Katsuragi, a character who lives up to his badass name. He is the protagonist in the classic harem series, The World God Only Knows, and he quite simply owns this anime. His character starts off as a loner who loves playing romantic RPGs, but despite his shy appearance, Keimar has an uncanny understanding of human emotions and feelings. This is exactly why he's able to make any girl fall in love with him, despite having no dating experience whatsoever. But he isn't just a psychotic playboy, he's also very kind and brutally honest. So while he's doing God's work, he also tries to help every girl he encounters during his romantic conquests. His impact on the entire series is remarkable, and for this reason, he deserves a number 6 spot. The number 5 spot is occupied by none other than Sato Kazuma, who is the funniest character on this list. The protagonist from Konosuba is a legendary character for the isekai and harem community. He brought so many new things to not only the harem genre, but to the comedy genre as a whole. His sharp humor, selfish nature, and genuinely interest in life made people fall in love with the show. It also made him some sort of magnet for weird yet equally entertaining female characters. His chemistry with the 3 women in his quirky little harem is a comedy treasure and an inspiration for many MCs who came after him. Moving on to number 4, we have Tomoya Okazaki, who goes through the most heartbreaking character arc in Clannad. Our protagonist starts off as a carefree high schooler who's just trying to get by, but it all changes when one after another he starts interacting with beautiful and highly talented girls. All of these girls are attracted to him for little things: his kindness, his good looks, and even his humor. And while season 1 of Clannad shows us many sides of Tomoya, it's actually season 2 where he really shines in a lot of ways, as a struggling father, a grieving husband, and even as a loyal friend. In an anime where every character is beautifully written, Tomoya Okazaki is a remarkable protagonist and a true harem king. At the number 3 spot, Cid Kagenou from Eminence in Shadow. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. I mean, come on. Did you really think I wasn't going to include the biggest Giga Chad from the harem world on this list? He might as well be the universal representative of harem kings. After all, he ticks all the boxes. He's OP as hell, smart, but not too smart, has an innate ability to attract beautiful girls, and doesn't give a shit about anyone but himself. You see, despite wanting to be a side character, he knows that he's the main character and no one else matters. And while this might sound bad, his ego has a charisma that I've never seen before. He'll be doing horrible things and you'll be cheering him anyway. And how can we forget about his habit of making dramatic entrances? He's hilarious, charming, and somewhat evil. And that's exactly why he is the demon king of the harem world. At the runner-up spot, we have yet another Tomoya. This time, it's Tomoya Okazaki from Cid Kagenou. The reason why I've placed him so high on the list is simple. He is the golden boy for harem protagonists. The kind of character development he goes through is unheard of. He starts off as a weeb who's trying to create his own dating sim. He can't understand feelings or love, and he's extremely shallow. And yet somehow, over 2 seasons and a feature film, he turns into one of the most wholesome and complex romantic protagonists of all time. He's the kind of guy who will hold on to a girl and yet won't stop her from chasing her dreams. He's not afraid to show his emotions, and at the end of season 2, we get to see just how insanely well written this character is. So while there are flashier candidates on this list, none of them have the intricate personality of Aki Tomoya. Now, before we reveal the ultimate harem king, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future uploads like this. And finally, we come to the king of harem kings, Koyomi Araragi from the Monogatari series. Now, where can I even begin with this guy? So far, we've seen protagonists who are OP, or wild, or sensitive, or even a little crazy. Araragi is all of those things and more. He could be the most complex and complete character not only on this list, but in all of anime. He can be selfish on a whim, but he can also be selfless enough to sacrifice his life to save a stranger. He is also the only MC who has given us some romantic or heartbreaking moments with every girl in the series. And there are a lot of them. Hell, some of them aren't even human. Yeah, our boy Araragi also has zombies, ghosts, and even vampires in his ever-growing harem. There is no other protagonist who can say that. And while all of these are valid reasons for him being at the top, it's actually his ability to surprise me that put him there. Every season I think I've learned everything I can about this guy, and somehow he'll still surprise me in the next arc. He is probably the greatest reason why I love the Monogatari series so much. And honestly, if you haven't seen it, you're missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you, and I will see you, in the next one.